Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Sherman and this is Sherman Spectrum, where we get to talk about LGBTQ content all around the world. And we are halfway through Pride Month. Yay! So I hope you guys are enjoying and loving and having a wonderful time celebrating and being with your family and friends, or your chosen family and friends. And always remember to keep safe, and that this is one of the most wonderful times of the year, this month, and I really hope that you guys are happy. And with that said, we have had a lot of LGBTQ representation content coming out this month. I have binge watched so many films and shows that, it's kind of sad that it's almost over. And with that said, there was the new trailer of My Policeman dropped a couple of days on Amazon, so I'm looking forward to that coming out later in October. So there's always room for more LGBTQ representation in films and cinema. And with that said, even though we are approaching, or it is the final season of Love, Victor, which is what I'm going to be talking about today, and even though I haven't done a video based on the previous two seasons, you guys can check them out on Hulu and Disney Plus. So yay, you can check it out there. But my thoughts on Love, Victor season 3. So before I begin, I'm just going to give a little preview on what Love, Victor is. So Love, Victor is an American drama teen series which is based off the universe of Love, Simon. So Love, Simon is a 2018 romantic drama film, which is an adaptation of the novel by Becky Albertalli, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. A book that I would definitely recommend if you guys want to get into the whole Creekwood Secrets, Creekwood High universe. So Love, Victor basically starts out with Victor Salazar, played by Michael Cimino, whose family moves from Texas to Atlanta, and here he is basically still struggling or dealing with his sexuality and is still in the closet. And this series takes a whole different premise based from the film, where Simon ends up texting or emailing a closeted gay kid in his school. Here we kind of deal with a whole new plot that deals with Victor, and he basically ends up making friends with Felix, who is played by Anthony Turple, who is probably one of the most adorable, good-looking characters on the show. He has an amazing smile. Every time I watch the show, I just love Anthony Turple's smile. And also his love interest, George Sear, who plays Benji, the love interest of Victor. Now, throughout the first season, he basically almost gets the opportunity to come out of the closet, but is also held back based on, fear of rejection, and also the fact that he comes from a Latino family, and how the whole machismo, being masculine trope or toxic masculinity is kind of a very huge issue within that culture. So, we sort of get to see how, him also not coming out is also based on the rejection that he could get from his parents. Now, in season 2 of Love, Victor, we also get to see a love triangle form where, once he finally does come out of the closet in season 2, he's basically sort of accepted by his father and his sister, but his mother really has a hard time dealing with accepting this, since she is very religious and she fears for his soul, and it's very hard for her to accept. So throughout the entire season of season 2, her acceptance of Victor, or her lack of acceptance, really starts to put a strain on their relationship. And we also get to learn that there is this new kid who comes into town, Raheem, who also comes out to his Iranian family, where also being gay and Muslim and Iranian is also something not accepted. And him and Victor sort of bond over this, coming out and being gay and dealing with, oppression and suppression, and sort of I want to say love interest forms, but Raheem definitely starts having feelings for Victor, and also this sort of also puts a wedge between him and Benji. Now, the relationship between Victor and Benji is somewhat almost too unrealistic or almost too dreamlike, you know, falling for someone in your high school, having this love relationship that we get to see happen between Victor and Benji. And let's not mention that they just look wonderful on screen. If you haven't seen George Sear and Michael Cimino, they are just gorgeous, you know. And when it comes to season 3, my personal thoughts, it felt so rushed. Like there's a lot of storylines that usually happen within season 3 that, and we normally get 10 episodes, but with the last season we were only given 8 episodes. So whether or not this was Hulu's decision or Disney Plus's decision to cancel the show because it was too queer, we'll never know. But you know, it ended, and it did, you know, it gave us viewers the romantic dreamlike realization that we wanted, seeing 2 of our favorite characters get together. But there are some thoughts. There are some things about this season that just felt, like I said, felt really rushed, especially the relationship between Benji and Victor. So from the first episode of season 3, Victor basically has to make a decision between Raheem and Victor, and eventually chooses Victor as he realizes that this is the guy that he saw first in school, basically on his first day, and he realized that Benjamin is, you know, the one, or Benji is the one, and ends up making the decision to be with Benji. But things are not as, you know, perfect as they seem, as we sort of learn that Benji's drinking is a lot more serious than we thought, and it basically stems from his, you know, being in the closet. As in this season, we get to look deeper into his background story of how he came out and how his toxic father and his parents' homophobia is what drove him into drinking as his coping mechanism of being a closeted gay. And we also sort of get to see the relationship between Victor and Raheem as how, you know, they finally, after dealing with their issues, you know, Raheem admitted to Victor that he does like him, but Victor also tells Raheem that it's not his fault that he chose Benji, but Victor also needs to realize and accept the fact that the relationship that they had, or that the friendship that was bonding between them, wasn't just a one-sided thing, you know, that Raheem knew or could tell that Victor liked him. So once that storyline is sort of just wrapped up, you know, they end up becoming friends again, which I also felt was just a little bit too quick. Like, I mean, I understand that Raheem is actually a really strong character, and he's even, I would even think he's a lot more stronger than Victor at some points. There's a particular scene where, you know, because he is from an Iranian family, once his Orthodox, very religious father comes into town, he has to sort of hide and go back into the closet. And this was one of the most powerful scenes for me, is he basically confronts his mom and says that he's tired of hiding. He does not want to make this whole progress of coming out and then going back into the closet, you know, dressing down, stop wearing his nail polish, acting straight, even pretending that he has a girlfriend. And eventually, once his uncle leaves, he basically tells his mom that that's not him, and that whatever happens, he's not doing it again. And that was a great plot for Raheem. Other plots that I really don't want to say that I didn't like, but I didn't really want to focus on too much, because I think for the 3rd season of Love, Victor, we kind of just wanted to focus on Victor and Benji. But, you know, with this season, we also got to see, you know, a part of the teenagers' parents' lives. You know, from season 1, we've got to see the struggles between Victor's parents, you know, how they were almost divorced, how they almost got divorced, how they were separated, how they got back together, and how accepting Victor as their gay son sort of brought their family together. And the same with Lake, who finally comes out, or who finally accepts her bisexuality as she falls in love with another girl and, you know, fights for that part of herself. So that representation was really, really, really interesting to see. And also the relationship between Felix and Pilar. And we also get to see from season 2 how, you know, Felix, who is this goofy, quirky, awkward kid who, you know, says a lot of things, also has his own issues to deal with his mom, and how protective he is of her. So there was like I mentioned, there's just so many storylines happening within this season that it felt that 8 episodes were just not enough because a lot of the issues just got resolved very, very fast. And I also like the fact that, so when Benji finally, so the whole Benji and Victor situation, so Benji basically ends up going to rehab, and when he eventually returns, he basically tells Victor that, you know, he needs to sort of stay away from all emotional attachment, which involves, you know, relationships and issues, and, you know, it hasn't exactly been easy for Victor and Benjamin, considering the fact that his mom has been against him, and that, you know, the whole issue with him and Raheem, so that sort of also pushed him to drink. And with that said, there are parts that I really didn't like, or no, there are parts that I did like. The part that Victor also gets to experiment with other gay kids in the show. So there's this new character, Nick, who comes involved into the show, which, I mean, it was interesting to see that, you know, it's not always just about Benji, but, you know, he sort of has this sort of off and on hookup relationship with Nick, who is someone from the new church that they start attending. And he also basically starts to realize that he isn't really into hookup culture, and he wants something more. He basically wants the same thing from Nick that he has with Benji, which is just a loving relationship, going on dates, making out, you know, having family dinners. And, you know, at first Nick tells Victor that he isn't really into this sort of relationship, he's not looking for anybody, but then eventually approaches Victor and says that he's willing to try and go on dates and, you know, not just, you know, sleep around and hook up all the time. And this sort of almost causes Benjamin to decide to leave school to attend boarding school, as, you know, he really feels as if this part of his life, or this chapter of his life in Creekwood, has ended. Now, personally, for me, like I said, it felt really rushed, especially the very end of the scene, which is sort of paying homage to the very first episode in season 1 and to the film, where, you know, Simon gets to ride on the Ferris wheel with Blue, with his love interest. And in the first episode of season 1, you know, he wanted to ask Benji to ride with him, but he ends up asking Mia, who was sort of his pretend girlfriend throughout the first of season 1. And with the last season of season 3, he eventually accepts the fact that, you know, even if he rides the Ferris wheel alone, it's okay, because he's sort of accepted who he is. He's being brave. And Benji basically ends up appearing, and they basically discuss, and he admits to Victor that, you know, he still has a lot of issues to work out, but he realizes that Victor is not his trigger for his alcohol. Like, their relationship and their emotional issues can definitely be a trigger, but it sort of stems from his father and his parents being very homophobic towards Victor. Now, for me, this felt very realistic. Not realistic. I mean, the show was very rushed, and it was very realistic as well, but it was also somewhat unbelievable. I mean, I remember my time in high school and coming out and being gay and queer in my time, which was not that long ago. You know, it was very different. So to see that sort of this new generation of queer kids, or anyone in the LGBT community, being so open and accepting of who they are, it's definitely the representation that I think we need, but it also needs to be a lot more realistic. I mean, I remember in my time, you know, the only LGBT representation that really focused on high school kids, you know, came from Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Dawson's Creek, and, you know, it really wasn't really focused on them. It was always mostly focused on the heteronormative spectrum of the show. And even back then, that was somewhat groundbreaking, but I really think that Love, Victor Season 3 definitely hit all of the knots on this point. All right, so that's it for this video. It's just a quick review. If you would like to see more content like this, please remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can get posted when I release any new videos. And if you really haven't seen it, like I said, you can check out Love, Victor, which is streaming right now on Hulu and Disney+. This is Sherman, and I'm Sherman Spectrum, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.